Rio de Janeiro, a city of huge contrasts, from the sun-kissed beaches and grand colonial buildings to the favelas, unplanned housing schemes where sanitation and basic services are often lacking and crime levels high. This is a world in which Fight for Peace, or Luta pela Paz, to give its Portuguese name, operates. Its founder is Luke Dowdney, a graduate of the University of Edinburgh.
Fight for Peace started 13 years ago in this favela Complexo da Maré. I guess it was an instinctual response of mine to a problem that has been going on here for 25, 30 years of heavily armed drug traffickers in the streets, controlling the community, or being very heavily present in the community, and more children and young people getting involved in that. And it seemed to me that I boxed when I was younger. Also, when I was at Edinburgh University, I also boxed at Edinburgh. I was captain of the boxing team. Boxing would be a great way to open a dialogue with those young people. These were the young people that are not getting involved in existing projects. They're not going to school. They're not getting involved in whatever it is that's out there for them. They're a very small percent of the community, but the violence that they're involved in affects everyone.
Luke's initiative, which now involves hundreds of youngsters, along with coaches and teachers, grew out of research he'd conducted for his master's degree at Edinburgh, which focused on the violence suffered by street children in Brazil.
I studied social anthropology at Edinburgh, and I did my dissertation at the end of my third year on street children in Recife, which is in the north of Brazil. So actually I first came to Brazil through the university. I had a family member who was involved in Brazil, so I was interested in Brazil for that reason, but I got the opportunity to travel for 8 months and do my dissertation, my thesis for the degree, and so spent time researching and developing relationships with organisations that were working with street kids, and doing ethnographic research and participant observation and learning those skills, and then coming back to Edinburgh and writing a dissertation. And that was very important as a skill set, and I've published a couple of books in the last 10 years, one about the involvement of children in the drug trade, which was very much an ethnographic piece of research where I spent around a year kind of hanging out with drug traffickers at all times of day and night to really understand their working lives and children's involvement in that.
The walls at Fight for Peace recall Luke's time at Edinburgh, but this is far more than just a boxing gym. Classrooms allow young people to gain new skills and qualifications, while counsellors and lawyers are also on hand to advise on a range of social problems that many face.
It teaches you about discipline, it teaches you about self-control, it teaches you about the fact that if you want to win and be successful at something, you've got to put in the hours and the hard work. You're not going to win unless you do that. And these are all lessons for life that you can take out of the ring and you can apply to your life, and I've certainly applied them in my life. We just had an external report that was completed by the University of East London that looked at our work in East London and also in Rio. It was a 6-month study, and it found that 73% of the young people that come through Fight for Peace who are not in education, employment or training, when they come in 6 months later are in education, employment or training. It found that 72% of the youth offenders that came through our programme in London were no longer involved in offending behaviour 6 months after coming through the programme and a year after coming in the programme. And that's double the national average for these sorts of programmes.
As Luke and I spoke, the constant danger that exists in this favela made itself felt.
That means the police. That's a warning that the police are around. When fireworks go off in the favela. It's funny, every time I do an interview up here, it always happens. So it's an amazing time.
So it sounded like gunshots, but was it just fireworks?
That was just fireworks, and so that's a drug trafficker letting off a big stick of fireworks to let the other traffickers in the area know. They also have walkie-talkies. That means the police are driving around in the favela.
Yeah, and in fact we can just see behind you the sort of smoke from the some of the fireworks going off. I mean, this is a daily occurrence. This isn't something that happens just now and again.
And we've lost too many young people. We've lost 2 in the last 6 months during police operations. You know, it's constant, it's daily. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to other places like this.
Does it ever depress you?
No, never. If you meet the young people from here, we're a bit quiet today because we don't really want to have kids in the programme while we're doing the construction here. So there's just stuff happening on the ground floor, but it doesn't depress me. If you were to meet the young people here, you know, they're an amazing and inspiring bunch, you know, who have to grow up amidst all of this all of these difficulties and violence, and yet they're still very positive about their futures. It's just a question of giving them the opportunities to do that, and they do the rest.